Well, guys, we are back yet again, and we are going to be talking about another movie. Which, again, I thought I have talked about this on the channel before, but I'm assuming I haven't. We are finally going to be talking about one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, and it's not the same anymore for the franchise, which you guys are seeing on your screen right now, which is Pokemon the first movie. So I remember seeing this movie in theaters, and I lost my mind. I think any kid that is a '90s kid definitely saw Pokemon when it first came out. It had the cards, it had the golden little card statues you get at Burger King, the toys, everything. This was the first time they debuted Mew and Mewtwo. Again, guys, if you haven't seen this film, again, I'm not gonna go into every little detail, but I'm pretty sure anyone that is a '90s kid or an anime fan or a Pokemon fan, you've seen this film because again, there's been like two other iterations of this film, but we have the entirety of Ash and the gang are, of course, traveling, doing battles. They get an invite to this mysterious island to battle this magnificent trainer, and they go into uh, this one town. And when they go through, they have issues because of a massive storm. They get through it. They get on the island, and they meet this mysterious person who, again, is Nurse Joy, who's being an assistant to who, Mewtwo. Mewtwo was created by Team Rocket to be a clone of the legendary Pokemon Mew, and he found out he was getting used, so he made his own clones, and he wanted to make all Pokemon clones so that way he could take over and kill the originals and prove that the clones were better than the originals. So when this happens, there's a whole sequence of them trying to protect their Pokemon as well as Ash trying to save them. And we even see where when they finally get released by Ash, we see this big conclusion fight of all the Pokemon and even Mew showing up, and we just see this massive battle between the originals versus the clones. And then Ash gets involved, but then he realizes that that's not what they're for, and he tries to stop it. And then he gets resurrected after it seems like he just turns to stone. And then Mewtwo, and the others, they go along their way, and they are never seen again until I think the second movie of the Mewtwo's return. But seeing this movie as a kid, between the music was absolutely incredible. Very high emotions when Ash pretty much almost died. I mean, but now again, there's been what, however many times now that Ash has almost died. That had me crying as a kid. And then seeing Mewtwo has always been one of my favorite Pokemon. And then seeing Charizard trying to, buff up against Mewtwo, which was hilarious in the movie, especially when he just kind of like, it's almost like he's taking out a cigarette, going like, "Oh, you want to fight me?" He just like uses a massive flamethrower attack, and Ash is like, "I didn't say start." It's hilarious. But I have very fond movies of this when I was a kid. I love it. It's still a good movie in my opinion, even though it was made in the late '90s. It's still a hell of a movie. It's still a hell of a movie. I don't care what anyone says. It's still a good movie in my opinion. I think if you're watching Pokemon, I think you need to watch the first season or midway through the first season, then watch this, and then you'll still have fun. It's not exactly quote unquote canon, but most Pokemon, again, if you're following canon or non canon, doesn't really matter, in my opinion, as long as you're having fun. But overall, this movie has a lot of the comedy to the action, adventure, the heart of what Pokemon was when it first started, and really showed um, a lot a lot of heart. Like I said, there was a lot of heart in this film. I feel like the original movies of Pokemon when it first started out, there was a lot of heart in these films, and then it kind of just was going through the assembly line. In my opinion, I think this one, the other one, Mewtwo, the second Pokemon film, the third Pokemon film, there was more heart in these films than I feel like the films later on. I mean, again, there are still some films later on that came out that were absolutely amazing, but I feel like it was different back then than it is now, that there was more heart in these films back then because they were new, they were fresh, they were trying to get the franchise going. They were trying to point a direction, and it just feels like that maybe they just went off the rails a few times, more ways than I can say. And I think this one really started off really strong, and I still think if you're a Pokemon fan, then more than likely you enjoy this film just as much as I do. So if you guys have seen this film, leave a thumbs up for me. I'd greatly appreciate it. And what is your favorite moment of this film? There was a lot of things I went through with this film, man. I mean, I remember watching this, when I was sad or sick or happy. I watched this one time unknowingly. One of my dogs, when I was younger, she passed away when I was watching it. I didn't even know. And I watched it again just to kind of help me through it. And then also, because I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, liking Pokemon meant you were uncool and all this stuff. But now, if you like it, you're cool. So it's crazy. But I'm gonna be, making probably a video on something like that as well, about how things you like then and now. I mean, I plan on making a video on that. But what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know about it down in the comments, and I'll see you as always on the next one.